All right. Thank you so much for joining the miracle work. If you still dare to come to the miracle work, and you do, that's wonderful. Now, why not? I mean, the miracle work is the work that we do in the sense of remembering who we truly are and not anything else. And so this today is almost feels like an historic moment because we're looking at the origin of separation in a certain sense. But actually, this is about the final judgment. So did that already happen? Is that going to be in the future? Or what is going on with this final of last judgment? Like we heard about it in the churches a lot. It's threatened at us, like, okay, you will come to a God that's going to judge you and all this, but that's different. That's not the way it is anymore. You cannot believe that. An all-loving God creating like itself, judging you for what? So there's something really beautiful to discover there. Nobody's judging anything in the true sense of us, of your being. There's nothing to judge, since you're the one and all, since you're all and one. That is so great. So the miracle work we look at today is really about that. It is looking at chapter 2. The last section is the F section in the Urtext, and it has everything to do with the final judgment. But we go into detail in it. And we do this not to come to the idea of like a conceptual teaching or anything, not at all. So this is really about, say, seeing what is occurring, seeing what is going on with you in your awakening. Like you can see it as an individual process, sure, but it has a history that you carry with you in memories. And when does it stop? How does it change? How does this look in a time construct? Or how does it look outside of time? So these questions will certainly be looked at or be answered, because it is like you want to make sure that you're, say, in the right place and in the right time, hearing this, what is actually going on. Because this is not just, okay, come on in. This is not just about doing a course in miracles, discussing about ideas, looking at things, considering some ideas, or who knows what. It's like that is not what this is about. So it is different. This is a transformative program you're in. So has everything to do with knowing where you find yourself, even in an evolutionary process. Like, where do I find myself? How long have we been here? Is this, say, 50,000 years of human civilization? And what happened before? Like, where do we come from? What is all this? In what time frame are we looking at? This? When did this all start? Is that long ago? When did the separation take place? Is it long ago? Did it just happen? Or what is this? So to look at it in an evolutionary perspective for just a moment gives you a good feeling, at least me, like it gives me a good feeling that now in this lifetime I'm actually coming in touch with my way out of the human cycle. Like there's a way out of it, out of the human cycle, out of that what we have been doing for decades, for eons, for a long time, a long time of human civilization, of repeating the death cycles that we got used to, repeating all this endlessly, painfully, endlessly, and having moments of difficulties, of struggle, of all of this, you know, like I just mentioned a couple, but you know all the details about it just as I do. So now the amazing thing happened to you, and that is that you're actually discovering that you have an opportunity to wake up out of this dream, like that you have been numbed into for decades. You have an opportunity to wake up out of it and recognize the truth of who you are. Well, if that isn't amazing, then I don't know what is. So luckily, you got in touch with it. It came to you because you're ready to hear it. It came to you because you were chosen like everyone else, but you have answered. That is the difference. You have answers. You have set certain steps to discover this cannot be it. I'm not accepting this as what it is. I don't want this. I don't want this. There must be something else. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous to see people die. It's ridiculous to see this one becoming sick, that one becoming sick, losing the ones that you love, having your heart ripped out of your body just for the sake of religion. Or who knows what the terror is that you have perceived. It's like, that is not acceptable to you anymore. You're not going to do that any longer. So there's a real necessity to wake up because you want to know who you truly are. That makes all the difference. That makes all the difference. So now in our miracle work, we discover that there's an all-loving God pouring his love over us in every moment of the day. He speaks to us, like it says in the lessons too, he speaks to us all through the day. And where does he speak of? Of love, of his love for you, of you as being an extension of him, and more and more and more and more. So that changes your perspective of yourself completely if you start to accept parts of it, little parts of it. It changes your self-concept. You don't have to, say, make up yourself any longer. No, you discover that by letting go of your ideas about yourself, you come into a different experience of yourself. Like in the decades that and the lifetimes that lay past, you had to continuously define yourself as something, reinvent yourself as something, set yourself up as something, playing roles as something, and on and on and on. All this to make something of yourself that you didn't have to do, that didn't make any sense in the first place. So this is our start for today. So that's why the last judgment is really great, because we're actually looking at all these things that I just mentioned in a whole different perspective that you might not think about every day, but today is the day that we're going to do it. So like I said, it's not conceptual because it actually is an healing opportunity to align with the truth, to see that I cannot think any longer like this. I have to let go of these ideas. I will not treasure them any longer. But I want to come into a deep experience of the truth of who I am, and whatever it takes, I don't care. So this is our little introduction then to to the miracle work. So whatever ideas you have about God, because that's basically what we're talking about too, it's like whatever idea you have about God, you might have a definition of God. You might think God is this or that. God is, who knows what image you have of God. Like, is it still an old man with a beard sitting on a chair and judging everyone? No. Or is it some faraway force that will come to get you when you die? Or is it, who knows what idea you have about it? Like, whatever ideas you have had about it, who knows? So here we actually come in touch with a whole new idea about God, and not a description of it as much as like what you thought about it. It's not that. And what it is, it will be shown to you. What God is will be shown to you. It's a God of mercy. And mercy is not judgment. Mercy is absolutely not judgment. You will see. All right, so I prepared some parts of the chapter 2F in the Urtext book that I love to share with you, because like the whole, you could say like the first paragraph was already so full of information, like so full of something that's so beautiful to share with you, that I don't know how far we get today, but we'll see. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the final judgment is one of the greatest threat concepts, like fearful concepts, in man's perception. This is only because he does not understand it. Judgment is not an essential attribute of God. Man brought judgment into being only because of the separation. God himself is still the God of mercy. Like we have been looking at an idea of God's judgment over us, and maybe still have a concept of it somewhere in our minds, having a concept that there's a God who judges us, or who keeps an eye on us, like knows every step that we take and all the mistakes that we make. And this is a very general way of thinking about God, but it has no truth at all. Like God himself is the God of mercy. It has nothing to do with judgment. It has nothing to do with not being right, not doing good. No, it's totally different. God created you in his perfect image. God created you like himself. You know, like this. That's a whole different idea that you hold about God, if you accept that. So and you got to be watchful in what you are thinking with regarding God, like not using God to judge yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. That's really important. So just as the separation occurred over many millions of years, the last judgment will extend over a similarly long period, and perhaps even longer. Its length depends, however, on the effectiveness of the present speed-up. I'll come back to that in a moment. If a sufficient number of people become truly miracle-minded quickly, the shortening process can be almost immeasurable. Now, talking about some fresh inspiration, here it is. So I'll repeat again. Just as the separation occurred over many millions of years, the last judgment will extend over a similarly long period, and perhaps even longer. Its length depends, however, on the effectiveness of the present speed-up. If a sufficient number of people become truly miracle-minded quickly, the shortening process can be almost immeasurable. Now this this I really love. So this has been almost like hammered in my head, this idea of the celestial speed up, because it was like one of the main themes that Master Teacher was teaching. Like it always went back to that, the celestial speed up. Like you need a certain number of miracle-minded ones to achieve a change where everything, the whole evolutionary process has like taking a quantum leap. And now you see why. It's like if you see the evolutionary process of millions of years of coming to a human civilization, seeing it develop the way it does now, and stopping right here, like the development of the human civilization right now, if you really, I saw this the other day, it's like if you really take a good look at the human civilization right now, we're actually heading back to the Iron Age. If you see how much iron is circulating around planet Earth and is being manifested on planet Earth, if you take a look at it, it's unbelievable. Everything seems to be ironized these days. It's unbelievable. So okay, there's a lot of plastic too, but my God, we're heading back to the Iron Age. So it's like before human civilization, before this civilization will wake up to the truth, depends on you, of course. But if you would just leave it as a natural evolutionary process, it would take another millions of years for the human civilization to come to enlightenment. So that's why this project Speedup that we just read about, like Speedup process, is literally like injected into this time frame, in the time that you say was born in this lifetime. Suddenly there's A Course in Miracles. Suddenly there's a Joel Goldsmith shaking your pillow, shaking your head a little bit, your shoulders, your body, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, wake up. Get out of this idea that you need to do this, what you think you should do. There's a different way. So in the same with A Course in Miracles, like just after Joel passed, A Course in Miracles comes up and is an absolute, say, masterpiece, blueprint, you could say, a blueprint for waking up. Now, if you don't discuss The Course in Miracles but accept what it says, there's an actual possibility for the speed up. And so Master Teacher, as I have experienced it, like Master Teacher was basically teaching this on a daily basis, that there's a speed up going on. You want to be part of that. So that is like, are you ready to leave this old concept of yourself? Are you ready to leave the world that you have made? Are you ready to leave all your concepts behind? Are you ready to come with me? So this was like on a daily basis, the question that he posed, literally as a wholehearted invitation to come to the, say, to a pivot point, to a change where you see that suddenly there's a shift in time and space where like enormous amounts of time have collapsed into one another in order to wake up. Now that's a very exciting perspective to me, because it is like, imagine, and this is really good to take a look at. Imagine this. Imagine no war, no conflict, no murdering, no say persecution, no torture, no rape, no criminal acts, no dishonesty, no, you name it, slaughter, no manslaughter, no, all of these things. Imagine, this is just a handful of the whole repertoire of human civilization that does not have to be there any longer because you are waking up. Imagine that. Like if you feel that, then you feel also the urgency for, and also the say the inspiration to let go of what you think is so important in this world, or so difficult to let go of in this world. You know, it's like you have no idea where you're dealing with if you still hold on to anything here because you think that this is it and that you need to sacrifice that in order to experience complete peace and love and extension. Then you can declare yourself insane, you could say. Like you're insane when you think like that. So that is by this celestial speed up, like this heavenly speed up, that is coming from outside of time and space, calling you to get your act together, in the sense of make up your mind. What is it that you want to do? You want to delay time? You want to stay in pain and suffering and murder and all this? Or you want to wake up into the love that you are? Like, that is the decision you make. Okay, so let's go back to the text. So I'll read it once more because it's great to read it. Just as the separation occurred over many million years, the last judgment will extend over a similarly long period and perhaps even longer. Its length depends, however, on the effectiveness of the present speed up. If a sufficient number of people become truly miracle-minded quickly, the shortening process can be almost immeasurable. Well, that would be so wonderful. That's great. Is that happening right now? Yes. Does it depend on you? Yes, of course. But it is essential that these individuals, like you, free themselves from fear sooner than would ordinarily be the case, because they must emerge from the basic conflict if they are to bring peace to the minds of others. The last judgment is generally thought of as a procedure undertaken by God. Actually, it will be undertaken solely by man, with my help, Jesus says. So the last judgment is seen as a procedure undertaken by God, but that's not the case. It will be undertaken solely by man, with my help. Well, how am I supposed to look at that? It is a final healing rather than a meting out of punishment, however much man may think punishment is deserved. So however you think about yourself or others, and thinking that punishment would be appropriate, this is actually a final healing more than a final judgment. And why that is, you see in a moment. Punishment as a concept is in total opposition to right-mindedness. Right? So punishment is a distortion. It's like, no, that's not good. But that has nothing to do with right-mindedness, with whole-mindedness, with seeing things as all part of you, like a whole part of you, in relationship with God. So the aim of the final judgment is to restore right-mindedness to man. Well, then see, then the inspiration is right here. It's like, okay, so what is right-mindedness? I need to learn that. I need to know what that is. I need to become that. The final judgment might be called a process of right evaluation. It simply means that finally all men must come to understand what is worthy and what is not worthy. So that's basically the whole thing. It's like what has value and what does not have value. What is worth it and what is not worth it. After this, their ability to choose can be reasonably directed. Unless this distinction has been made, the vacillations between free and imprisoned will cannot but continue. Okay, so I'll read this again. After this, their ability to choose can be reasonably directed. Like you first have to know what is valuable and what isn't, what is worthy and what is not worthy. Before you can do anything, this needs to happen. Also because of the idea of a free will. Like if you see that your will and the will of God are one, you have no trouble in choosing. You have no problem with, say, adjusting to the will of God or allowing the will of God. And why is that so important? Well, it has to do with your acceptance of the truth of you. Like God's will and your will cannot have a conflict. In truth, there will never be a conflict. Like there will not be a conflict. So as soon as you experience conflict, it has nothing to do with God's will. And then you still choose your own will, in which you imprison yourself into your own ideas. Yeah, so that's as clear as I can say it right now. So man will ultimately look upon his own creations and will to preserve only what is good. Like ultimately that's what you want to do. Just as God himself once looked upon what he had created and he knew it was good. Like, you know this from Genesis, like God created everything. On the seventh day he took a look at it. It was on the sixth day he took a look at it and said like, everything is good. I did that well, like everything is good. And then he rested on the seventh day. At this point, the will, God's will begin to look with love on its creations because of their great worthiness. Oh my God, it's so great. I see also the similarity of what we shared yesterday, but I'll come back to that in a second. So his own final judgment cannot be directed toward himself because he is not his own creation. He can apply it meaningfully and at any time to everything he has ever created and retain in his real memory only what is good. This is what his own right-mindedness cannot but dictate. It's like it has to dictate it. It cannot not but dictate this. His own final judgment cannot be directed toward himself because he is not his own creation. Like you did not create yourself. So your final judgment cannot be about yourself because you did not make yourself. And this is monumental. Now I'll come back to that. Wait a second. It's like the great thing. Well, you can bring it back to the daily experience of yourself. It's like any idea that you have about not doing things right, not being enough, not, we talk about this many times, like, and it comes back for everyone as an experience of oneself. Like thinking you're not enough, thinking that you're not doing it right, thinking that you lack something, thinking that somebody else is doing it better, thinking that you can never do this, thinking that you're unworthy, all these ideas about yourself are judgments that you cannot make. Like as if you made yourself, and you did not. You did not create yourself. So you cannot put a judgment on yourself only in your fantasies, in your dreams. Now in this mega celestial speed up, your judgment upon yourself is a delay. You know, if you want to speed up the awakening process, you should stop judging yourself, because it's a delay. You believe something about yourself that you are not. And that's what pain is. That's what death is. That's what another death cycle would be. Like now you have to do this another lifetime to figure this out for yourself while you actually hear it now. Like why would you waste so much effort and time and pain while you could actually accept it now? Well, this is exactly where this is about. And the celestial speed up puts the responsibility in your lap and makes you look at what is going on in my life. For what reason am I judging myself? Why am I still accepting the idea that I'm not enough, that I'm not doing it right, that like I'm a failure, or that I'm, who knows what idea you have about yourself. But at least it's not one in which you state your perfection. Like, because that's in fact what you should do. Since you cannot judge yourself because you did not create yourself. Only in your dreams. And you have been repeating that cycle forever, you know, for lifetimes, thinking that you're the thing that you're not. So it's so great to meet each other in this whole new continuum, in the recognition that this is your last cycle. Like you don't have to do this again. If you accept this, what is being shared, like if you accept this for yourself, recognizing that you cannot judge yourself, but that there's an alternative that is immediately at your disposal, that you are worthy of, that you can step into by your decision. That's the speed up. That is absolutely what is being offered here. And there's a great urgency. If you don't know, look around, turn on your television. There's a great urgency for you to wake up. And that's not a threat. No, it's just like, it's still a dream. Heaven can wait. It's like heaven, in your experience of heaven will not be time. So whether it takes another 10,000 years, it's only suffering for you. So you, say, experience the consequences of your delay. That is all. But you do experience the consequences of your delay on a daily basis until you're literally out of this limitation that you put yourself in. So, amazing opportunity. Okay, so oh, I love it. I love it. It's like getting to the crux of it. So cool. All right, so the purpose. So here's this. Listen to this. The purpose of time is solely to give him time, like you, to achieve this judgment. It is his own perfect judgment on his own creation. When everything that he retains is lovable, there's no reason for any fear to remain in him. This is his part in the atonement. So it's like you have been given time to achieve a perfect judgment about your own creation. Like a perfect judgment that whatever you perceive, that whatever you recognize, that whatever you think is lovable, up to the moment that that is what you see and that that is what you discover, you have a reason to be in time to experience more, to discover that there's a way out of it, and to come to the experience of a loving judgment. So that is what I'd love to share today. So I will recapitalize it for just a second, or summarize it a little bit. So like the urgency to hear what this says, to find out your own role in this is really essential. Like nobody can tell you that about that. You are the one who has to feel the urgency for this. Like, but it is great to take time in time, to take a really good look at what is actually occurring. Like turn on your television, watch the news, or watch, who knows what, a documentary about what people think is going on right now. And you see what is going on. You see also that this whole concept that people carry with them is not yours any longer. Like, you cannot make that real any longer. You have to see beyond the appearances, beyond your perception of it. Like this just simply cannot be it. And then you find your new way, like a new way of love. You find a beautiful new way of love, recognizing in everyone your dearest friend, seeing that there's nothing to attack, that your thoughts about the whole thing was an absolute farce, like an absolute meaningless endeavor, that you have been celebrating death for a long time, but no more you can do. And that's in fact the occurrence that is taking place in you because you decided not to accept this human civilized life any longer as the reality of you. So thank you for doing so. I love to end up with a prayer from the prayer book. Oh yeah, this one is nice. This is so great. So this is lesson 292. 292. A happy outcome to all things is sure. God's promises make no exceptions, and He guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet it is up to you, here it is, yet it is up to you when this is reached. How long we let an alien will appear to be opposing His. And while we think this will is real, we will not find the end He has appointed, as the outcome of all problems we perceive, all the trials we see, and every situation that we meet. Yet is the ending certain, for God's will is done in earth and heaven. We will seek and we will find according to His will, which guarantees that our will is done. So here's our thank you to God. We thank you, Father, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help us not to interfere, and so delay the happy endings you have promised us for every problem that we can perceive, for every trial we think we still must meet. A happy outcome to all things is sure. So that's a great thing. You see, like there's the time. It's up to you when this is reached, you know, when you want a happy outcome to all things. Like it's always coming back to you. That's so amazing. But it is sure, it is guaranteed. It's a promise that God keeps. But you tell God, like you accept it when you can. You can delay it or you can accept it now. And this is a real possibility. It's like this is given to you in this instant to accept this now. Why not wanting happy outcomes to all things? All right, so thank you so much for letting me share this with you. And I was talking about this new love that came to me. And now the lucky find was that a song also came to me. And you might know it. It has everything to do with a new love that is being found. And I love to share that with you. You brought this new kind of love. All right, thank you for everything.
Sweet one, fairer than the flowers, never will I meet one sweeter than you. Would you turn away or could you really learn to care if I'd ever dare to say I love you? If the nightingales could sing like you, they'd sing much sweeter than they do. Oh, you've brought a new kind of love to me. If the Sandman brought me dreams of you, I'd want to sleep my whole life through. Oh, you've brought a new kind of love to me. I know that you're the queen and I'm the slave, and yet you will understand that underneath it all you're a maid and I am only a man. I would work and slave the whole day through if I could hurry home to you, for you've brought a new kind of love to me. If the nightingale